But Abby, we've got an answer. There's a great anti-imperialist congresswoman who's never said anything weird about Islamic terrorism or never had any ambiguous positions on torture, who never went to go see Netanyahu when most even people like Tim Kaine boycotted his speech in the U.S. Congress to try to undermine Obama's Iran deal, which is the best thing Obama ever did. Tulsi Gabbard, right?
Right. Let me start by saying, I appreciate some things she's brought to the table, right? Opposing sanctions, regime change wars, quote unquote, while calling to pardon whistleblowers like Assange. But as an anti-imperialist and anti-war journalist, I think the most important framework to oppose war is the perpetual war on terror that was cemented by Bush and expanded under Obama. I mean, this is drone bombings, this is the extrajudicial assassinations that can be carried out anywhere. And instead of alleging that radical Islamic terrorism is the fundamental threat, I mean, I'd rather address that much of the terrorism committed is a direct blowback from U.S. foreign policy, which is terrorism itself. Like Chomsky said, if you want to stop terrorism, stop committing terrorism. I mean, look at bin Laden, who said that U.S. bases and troops in Saudi Arabia fueled his rage against the U.S. Look at al-Baghdadi, tortured in Abu Ghraib. ISIS grew out of the vacuum of the U.S. invasion of Iraq. I mean, it's strange to me, I think, aside from all of that, which I disagree with her fundamentally on, and I think our bar is set very low for what is considered anti-war, anti-imperialism in the mainstream discourse, I find it very strange that Tulsi Gabbard is running against Bernie Sanders. That, Absolutely. To me, is why I dislike her the most. Why is she running against Bernie? Why is Elizabeth Warren running against Bernie? If they cared about defeating Trump, they would not be running against Bernie Sanders. And also, it's weird that she just said she's not running for Congress anymore. I mean, if she cares about fighting the entrenched and corrupt Democratic establishment, why is this an all-or-nothing thing to win the presidency? I find that very strange. Not to mention the pivoting on Medicare for all, where all these people are now poisoning the well on what that even means, the Medicare choice. This is a country that is beholden to corporations. We are uniquely captured by corporate power. This Medicare choice thing is not gonna work here. So I don't understand why we can't just be honest and clear. And unfortunately, a lot of the critiques from her are coming from dishonest actors, where it's being framed the wrong way. Because to me, I would like a lot more left critique about these issues that you and others have done.
I agree with you completely, and I'll underline again, even though, I mean, for people who can't deal with any criticism for her, she's 100% right on Julian Assange, and the charges against him are a fundamental threat to journalism everywhere, and particularly to great journalists like Abby, frankly, who do, analogous work. I'll add, I've noted this on other streams, but I'll just note quickly, regardless of what you think of his work and where you come in, it doesn't matter. The arrest of Max Blumenthal is a major threat and a major danger, and also, I have no doubt, cooked up by far-right Venezuelan opposition forces. So, and she was right to oppose regime change efforts in Venezuela. She's been right on a variety of issues, but the thing is that it's not, and she's also been radically wrong on a variety of issues, and it's not structural at all, like
right.
You're saying. And Sanders, again, people always nitpick. Yes, he did not shoulder like every single wrong for decades, right? Like I think there was an element of like Bernie is totally isolated in modern politics. For decades, he's basically the only person saying that like poor people are human beings, as an example. And maybe he goes along to get along on certain foreign policy issues. I think that's totally a fair critique, but you should historicize that critique. On the other hand, this is a guy who is tweeting out solidarity with people in Haiti and Chile and calling for freeing Lula today, who voted against 3 military budget increases today, where Warren voted for each of them and Tulsi voted for at least one of them. And Gabbard has had nothing to say on the solidarity and justice front. And I just also want to play this video because I do think you can't escape the fact that you go back to the Syrian refugee vote, the fact that when she first got any kind of public attention, it was like obsessively like going on TV to complain that Obama wouldn't call it Islamic terrorism. And I just want to contextualize this a little bit. This is a video she just put out. And Erdogan obviously has played a horrible role across the Middle East, and particularly, in Turkey, now slaughtering the Kurds. And definitely, I would say, I don't think he tolerated and has supported ISIS and at other times fought ISIS, right? Like that's how complicated and twisted the situation is there. So my problem here is not her attacking Erdogan, but the way she frames this is bizarre. And it sounds like something out of Breitbart. Check this out.
Good morning, everybody. I'm getting ready for National Guard duty this morning, but wanted to take a minute to mention something that's been in the news lately. Turkey's President Erdogan, as you know, is invading Syria, slaughtering the Syrian Kurds, and he's using terrorists from ISIS and Al-Qaeda as his militia. Now, this is something I've been warning about for years, that Erdogan's been assisting ISIS and other so-called jihadists in their quest to overthrow the Syrian government and establish a so-called Islamic caliphate. Erdogan's denied this for years, but the fact that he is now openly and brazenly creating militias of radical Islamists, including so-called former ISIS and Al-Qaeda terrorists, exposes him for what he is. He's a radical Islamist megalomaniac whose goal is to establish an Islamist caliphate with himself as the caliph, the supreme ruler.
I'm sorry, I was being so serious. What the fuck is she talking about? She could say neo-Ottoman. That's wild shit.
And before she goes to National Guard duty. I mean, again, it's like the fact that Trump can just activate her, and be like, all right, you're deployed. It's just like, what is going on here?
Right.
I mean, I think the point is that she's not, that's just cartoonish. And, I think that, again, it shows a fundamental flaw in her worldview, that this is about radical Islamic terrorism driving these movements. And we know that that's kind of a really narrow and, frankly, right-wing viewpoint. And again, I think that she should really quit the military, because if you want to paint yourself as an anti-war, even remotely anti-war candidate, I don't understand why you are in an active duty military service. I find that very strange as well.
Right.
I mean, and also, has she even denounced the military budget and talked about, the need to maybe she has, but again, I mean, back
she
to the
has
point
in
about
some way. I mean, she's voted
mixed
ways. She sometimes talks about military spending, the military-industrial complex. But even there, I would say there's a, look, anytime you make a statement like this, I'm sure that I know she's said military-industrial complex. I know sometimes she's talked about civilian casualties, but the overwhelming focus is on this notion of wasting resources and things that are in the U.S. national interest or not. And this other dynamic that you have here is a very strange view of Islam, which I don't, look, I don't like to super go in this direction, but people can look up her family's guru and what the guy said about Muslims. It's not that hard to find. And, this is somebody who yes, she spent time in the Middle East. She has a certain understanding from a military standpoint, but I don't think she spent that much time figuring out what the difference between Shia or Sunni is, or the difference between political movements. Like even you were just saying, does she know that the Communist Party is a force in Gaza? I profoundly doubt it. And also look at her comments on, Kashmir, and then look at actually, in fact, how the small band of people that, follow her, they start all of a sudden, I see people who, maybe they thought Pakistan was like a restaurant, all of a sudden talking about ISI agents infiltrating India, which, by the way, that is an issue. But when I see people who have no basis for talking about any of these things, all of a sudden echoing the most extreme Indian foreign policy talking points, and it would be absolutely the same if it was somebody echoing the most extreme ISI Pakistani talking points. That's not the point. Is not the country. The point is the location of the policy, and it's very bizarre that she's a conduit for that. And I agree. Look, of course, everybody besides Bernie is bullshit, and I think that critique applies equally. But it's very weird to see how, especially as Bernie, I mean, you have Ilhan Omar saying he's going to end Western imperialism in front of his speech. I don't know, like, I didn't expect to hear that shit. I don't know what more people, I mean, we want policy, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, Bernie, again, he has proven himself for decades. He was a member of the Progressive Caucus when Elizabeth Warren was still a Republican, and when Tulsi Gabbard was in, a cult that's a very vehemently homophobic and anti-Islam cult. Right. So I think it's just really important to kind of attach and hitch our wagons to the person that we can rely on, and who is also, most importantly, Michael, making this about us, the organizer in chief. This is not about him. This is about us mobilizing ourselves, pushing these policies through, because there is no savior 2020. Bernie is the most likely candidate that will be able to represent the masses wherever we move ourselves and push him forward to do. And that is the most important thing about this election. And I do not see anyone else waiting in the wings that can possibly take up the mantle to prove himself the way that Bernie Sanders has over the last 40 years, whether it be LGBTQ rights, whether it be fighting the military-industrial complex, fighting on behalf of veterans. The list goes on and on and on. And that's who I trust, and it's kind of shocking that progressives are so confused in this election because we have so much at stake. We have so much at stake, and Trump needs to be beaten, and there's only one candidate that can really get that done.
Abby, I agree with you 1,000%. I want everybody to follow the links we put in to watch Gaza Fights for Freedom. It's an incredibly important documentary. Check out The Empire Files, Media Roots. And Abby, I think you and I are going to do a lot more stuff together. I really appreciate your time.
You rock, man. Thanks so much, Michael. I really appreciate it.
Take care. You just watched a Michael Brooks Show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.